This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Today's discussion is, should you use an investment banker for a transaction? And here's why this question comes up. When we're dealing with different types of founders, different types of business owners, often they're concerned about the fee that an investment banker will charge. For example, if the investment banker charges 2 to 8%, depending on the size of the transaction, that's a big fee or can't be a big fee. And sometimes participants think that that's going to come out of their pocket or that's going to cost them, and sort of they won't get the value for it. They won't get 2 to 8% more in the transaction price and so forth. My perspective in this is that for almost any transaction, particularly above a certain size, it almost always makes sense to use an investment banker. The investment banker has to be very good at what they do. They've got to be very understanding of the industry they're in. They've just got to be talented at it. But in my experience, in most situations, that investment banker will add more value than they cost, often by a very big degree. Often it's the case both in terms of valuation and process that an investment banker knows the market and is for the market so much better than any one-off party can do. I think the proof is almost always in the pudding in terms of deal transaction values. But what you see in many deals is the buyer often will want the seller not to use a banker. And we view this as almost the greatest signal ever that you probably should use a banker. In any event, at the end of the day, my experience is that the difference in using a banker versus not using a banker is almost always very significant, and you're far better off in almost any transaction above a certain size using an investment banker, and usually it makes sense in terms of paying for itself, value, and process, and everything else, and some objectivity as well. Thank you for listening to the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Thank you very much.